Good afternoon. I can do it again. Good afternoon. There's too much. We're all socializing too much, including ourselves up here. I'd like to welcome all of you to, first we're beginning with a special meeting of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners for the purpose of adopting our budget. We will begin our meeting with an invocation from Pastor Robert Hutchins. I told him he is a very reliable and repeat, attender. I always appreciate it. He is the pastor at Faith and Family Baptist Church, and then we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Linville. So Pastor Hutchins, thank you for being here. And please stand if you're able.
All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, if we just take a minute, realize all that we have to be thankful for. Lord, I'm always reminded when we come here that in our county's hospitals, there will be families getting the news of a loved one passing today. There'll be ambulance drivers dispatched to emergency, sheriff officers, police officers, fire department. Lord, we're thankful for our first responders. And Lord, we've been thinking about D-Day and Memorial Day and tomorrow's Flag Day. We've been thinking about our country, how we're still free, that we can come to this Board of Commissioners meeting, and none of these commissioners are beholden to a special interest group or someone forcing them to vote a certain way. There's not another government entity here watching over them with intimidation. And Lord, we just pray that the commissioners today would remember that ultimately they serve you first and foremost, and secondly, the citizens of Forsyth County. And that is a heavy weight. I do not believe any of them take it lightly. I believe that they stand here before you today in the fear of the Lord, knowing that, Lord, without you, we don't have breath, we don't have anything. We thank you most of all for your Son who carried our sins to the cruel cross of Calvary. And then how every year here at Old Salem we celebrate the resurrection. Lord, this county has got such a godly heritage. Lord, I pray that these commissioners and others will want to keep that godly heritage alive for the next generation. For Lord, you know there's crime in our streets. There's shootings, Lord, there's thefts. There's just so much that's wrong going on. But we believe in the power of God. We believe if people would come together and pray, that, dear God, that you will change things. I'm thankful for this opportunity. Thank you not just for the Board of Commissioners, but our county manager and the secretaries and everyone that has a part in what the commissioners are doing. It's been mentioned about the budget, and your word has so much to say about money. And Lord, I appreciate how the commissioners do their best to keep our taxes low, that people have more disposable income to spend in this county and take care of their families. So Lord, we do pray you will be done about the budget, and in this meeting that we'd give you all the glory, honor, and praise, for we do ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's special meeting agenda consists solely of the adoption of the fiscal year 24-25 Forsyth County Budget Ordinance. And a public hearing was held and closed on June the 10th, 2024. And the first thing we're actually going to do is our Deputy County Manager, Chantel Robinson, soon to be, as of July, going to be our County Manager, will review and instruct the structure of the budget ordinance, and Gordon Watkins, our County Attorney, will review some procedural aspects for adoption. Then Kyle Wolf's going to give us an overview. We still have several options for consideration. We'll be ready to vote. So we will begin with our Deputy County Manager, Chantel Robinson, giving us a review of the budget ordinance.
Mr. Chairman, we are still waiting on our budget director.
Oh, well, sorry, I wouldn't look for him. Well, I'll tell you what, I think, Did you say yes, no? Have no trouble pivoting to the regular meeting next, and as soon as he gets here, we'll do it. We'll return. We can do kind of an item by item, and in fact, I'm going to postpone the kind of the communications piece and actually deal with a couple of the. We have one fairly short public hearing item to consider basically some spending funds for an economic development project, and I know we have folks here for that.
Let me ask a procedural question to our county attorney real quickly. Do we need to
About adjourn and start?
recess the special meeting and then call to order?
We could do that. We could do that. How about a motion to recess the special meeting until, we have a motion by Commissioner Plyler. I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. We're good. Now we're in the regular meeting now, and we're gonna skip to the first item on the agenda, which is a public hearing to consider the expenditure of county general funds for an economic development project and authorizing an agreement with a company. And the first speaker at the public hearing is going to be Hassani Mitchell, who is our Community and Economic Development Program Administrator. He's going to review the request, and then it'll be pretty straightforward after that. So if you can find your PowerPoint a little bit out of order, we'll be on it.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Pleasure to be before you all again today. We briefed this item over the last 2 weeks, and today I will just detail the company information as well as pertinent details around the county's incentive package. All right, so we briefed this over the last 2 weeks under project code name Project Sully, and the name of the company is Excel Interior Door, LLC. Excel Interior Door LLC, they're located in Hartselle, Alabama, and they've had a presence there for over 10 years. And as the name indicates, this company is an interior door manufacturer. The company has experienced some growth in product demand, and that growth requires them to add an additional facility. And so they're looking for a facility and a location that has strong production labor, a facility that's close to the highways, and will also give them proximity to their existing customers along the East Coast. We take a look at the Forsyth County project. This proposed project will be located at the Union Cross Industrial Center, also known as Union Cross Business Park. Forsyth County is favorable due to our strong labor availability, and it is important to note that the company is also considering locations in Concord, North Carolina, and Fort Mill, South Carolina. The company is proposing a capital investment of $10.5 million, and that capital investment is divided into real property and also machinery and equipment. And so this would be a $1 million investment in the real property and a $9.5 million investment in the machinery and equipment. This $10.5 million investment would generate at least 69 full-time jobs in our county at that facility. And those jobs have an average salary of $51,268 per year. I've included a snapshot of when the company looks to deploy those jobs. They look to move fairly quickly, beginning in 2024. And also, just an idea of those jobs encompass managers, operators, material handlers, HR specialists, forklift operators, and maintenance as well. If we take a look at the county's incentive package, we're proposing a 5-year standard incentive, and based upon that $10.5 million capital investment, our incentive would not exceed, the county's incentive would not exceed $147,981, and that's 50% of the taxes that we expect the company to generate within that 5-year period. Based upon that investment, Based upon their investment, this would generate $429,014 in taxes over 10 years. In the county, we would net 66% of those taxes over 10 years, and that dollar amount is $281,033. The company does intend to involve in workforce development, and they look to partner with all of our workforce development partners. Currently at the Alabama operation, they have an active internship program, so they look to also partner with Forsyth Tech, and they're very partnership driven. This is located in the city, so the city of Winston-Salem is also proposing local incentives, and the state of North Carolina is also proposing a 1NC grant, which is tied to the jobs. That concludes my presentation, but we do have representatives from the company, Mr. Mitch Sanner, who's the president. We also have our representative from Greater Winston-Salem, Inc., Ms. Ellis Kiefer here as well, if you have any questions.
All right, any questions for Hassani? All righty, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And we'll go very straightforward. This is a public hearing. Speakers have up to 15 minutes to speak in total or in favor and 15 to speak in opposition. Those of you in the crowd rarely will last more than a few minutes. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Come right ahead and please give us your name and address, and we are started. Good.
Ellis Kiefer, 525 Vine Street. Good afternoon, Chairman Martin, Vice Chair Wisenhunt, and members of the board. Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. is excited to present Project Sully today for incentive consideration. We're grateful that Excel Interior Door has identified Forsyth County as an attractive location for its operations. As part of the site selection process, the company sought opportunities specifically in Forsyth County because of our workforce strength and our reputation in advanced manufacturing. The company, as Hassani mentioned, also shares our community's commitment to workforce development. They have this existing internship program at their Alabama facility, and they're excited to partner with Forsyth Tech if the Winston-Salem site is selected. The 69 jobs and $10.5 million of investment created will have a meaningful impact on the individuals and families of Forsyth County, and the project furthers our economic development strategy to grow our advanced manufacturing sector. Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this request? Give us your name, address, and the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. My name is Alan Daniel. I live at 100 Fernworth Court in Clemens. As you all are aware, I'm pretty adamantly opposed to all incentives paid to companies to come here, especially in light of the budget situation we have with our schools. As I have said before, if we would put every penny we put toward incentives, toward improving our education system, we wouldn't have to pay incentives because we could have the best education system in the southeastern United States. In light of that, I would like to please ask you to change the criteria you use to weigh these offers. And I'd like to give you a couple of numbers to help you see the point. You said that the average pay for this incentive is $51,268. That sounds great. And I couldn't read the numbers, but let's just say there's 50 employees in the company. Their payroll would be $2.5 million. So let's say you say, no, we want a higher average salary. We want to improve the economic situation of the folks in our county. We want you to have a $71,000 average salary. That's great, right? All they got to do is pay their CEO another $1 million a year and accomplishes it. What I would urge you to do is not look at the average salary, but look at the median salary. For example, in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Schools, those two numbers are pretty close, around $50,000 plus or minus $1,000. But if you look at most corporations, the number of people making over the average is 2 or 3. The number making under the average is 48. So please, stop looking at the average and start looking at the median and make sure they're paying the lowest paid employees in their company enough money to live in Forsyth County. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to the request? I declare the public hearing closed and would be happy to entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Wisenhunt to approve the incentive package. Is there a second? We have a second from Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion?
Just a general information for the interested public.
With Forsyth County, the amount of funds available for incentive packages relates to the net of the tax increment to be added by the project. While the information is often provided regarding average salaries and can be relevant to, sort of the value of the company to the community beyond the tax increment, that's not the deciding factor for the size of an incentive.
Thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously, and I'd certainly like to, I know we have representatives from Excel Interior Doors. Thank you for being here, and we welcome you to Forsyth County. And look forward to your being successful here, because that means we'll be successful too. So thank you. All righty. I'd like to have a motion to return to our special budget meeting.
Could we,
Have a motion? Excuse me?
Kyle, or do you want us to, are we better off carrying on through the meeting? Yeah, if we could just carry through the meeting and finish out that and give, we got a lot of folks here who are just doing last minute checks on this. That would be helpful.
Okay, then I would suggest we go to the very beginning of the meeting. And that'll just take me 1 second. Hang on.
I think you were there.
Hang on. My paper is slightly adjusted. Whoa. Well, I know we have hang on 1 second. I'm getting closer. Yes, we do have a couple of special resolutions, and we have one designating the new review officers to review and certify maps and plats for Forsyth County, North Carolina.
There's the rest of the script if you need it. There we go.
All right, okay, good, thank you. And basically, we're going to have, I think, are you going to do that one, Chris? Give us a little information.
I can actually do it from right here.
All right, that's great.
It's just, this is a resolution periodically as new staff is brought on to the various organizations within the county that have their own planning and zoning authority. It is needed, it is necessary to change the folks that are allowed to sign final plats that get recorded with the Register of Deeds. And there were several changes within the town of Kernersville in their staffing, and that's the resolution that is before you.
Do we have a motion? Have a motion by Vice Chair Wisenhunt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor? Please raise your hand. Thank you. All righty. The next item on the agenda is a resolution recognizing June 15th, 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Forsyth County. And Commissioner McDaniel will read the resolution, and I'd like to invite Rick Hall from the Social Services Division Director, a Social Services Division Director, to come forward to receive the resolution.
Thank you, Chairman.
And you can bring someone else with you, certainly. Rick, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. While they come, I won't belabor the meeting. I will be reading the resolution recognizing June 15, 2024 as the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Forsyth County, North Carolina. Whereas older adults deserve to be treated with dignity and respect to enable them to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and vital participating members of our community. Whereas in 2006, the International Network of the Prevention of Elder Abuse, in support with the United Nations International Plan of Action, proclaimed a day to recognize the significance of elder abuse as a public health and human rights issue. Whereas 2024 marks the 18th Annual World Elder Abuse Day and its recognition to promote a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older adults. Whereas the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners and the Forsyth County Department of Social Services recognizes the importance of taking action to raise awareness, prevent, and address elder abuse. Whereas ageism and social isolation are major causes of elder abuse, and it is a shared responsibility to ensure its proper social structures exist so people can retain community and societal connections, reducing the likelihood of abuse. Whereas Forsyth County Department of Social Services recognizes Winston-Salem Police Department for its commitment to public service and its mission to protect life and property by providing exceptional police services to our community in partnership with the citizens of Winston-Salem. Whereas Forsyth County Department of Social Services partners with the Winston-Salem Police Department through case collaboration and Forsyth County Elder Abuse Task Force to prevent and raise awareness about the issues of elder abuse in Forsyth County. And whereas Forsyth County Department of Social Services serves to protect older adults experiencing mistreatment, but recognizes that the protection against abuse begins with awareness of issues within our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes June 15, 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Forsyth County and encourages all citizens and community partners to consider how they promote awareness in the issues of elder abuse and support efforts to protect vulnerable elder adults, adopted this 13th day of June 2024. Thank you, Chairman.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, please raise your hand. And I think perhaps maybe get a picture, and
Yes, sir.
maybe Todd's getting that from there, and maybe you can turn around. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a resolution recognizing June 10 through 16, 2024 as Men's Health Week here in Forsyth County. And I'd like to invite Sarita Sutton, our Assistant Public Health Director, to come forward, and anyone else that she brought with her. Thank you all. Whereas Men's Health Week is recognized to heighten the awareness of preventable health problems and early detection of diseases among young boys and men in Forsyth County. Whereas the increasing rates of chronic disease, cancer, unintentional injury, flu, and pneumonia-related deaths in Forsyth County affect vulnerable male populations, demonstrating a need to increase male-based education and engagement efforts. Whereas public health measures such as Men's Health Week are aimed to increase male-based outreach, awareness campaigns, and access to free health screenings and preventative health services to increase life expectancy for our male residents in our county. Whereas public health plays a critical role in advancing health equity and preventing chronic diseases and injuries, resulting in improved health outcomes for men in Forsyth County. Whereas the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners is committed to continued emphasis on prevention in public health and to help our county and North Carolina reach a better state of health through actions outlined in the Healthy North Carolina 2030 objectives. And whereas communities, local health departments, employers, hospitals, and healthcare providers, individuals and families, insurers, county leaders and policymakers, faith-based communities, and schools and child care facilities must work together to identify and develop innovative solutions to health problems facing the people of Forsyth County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes the second week of June 2024 as Men's Health Week and encourages all residents to recognize that the Department of Public Health is working to ensure that all residents are protected from threats such as mental abuse, cancer, injury, suicide, or flu, I'd like to make a motion, we adopt this on the 13th day of June 2024. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Second from, sounds like everyone. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. And by the way, Sarita, if you'd like to say a word, step in and I'll get a copy of your.
Definitely want to thank the commissioners for honoring this week for resolution. And also I say thank you to Stanley. Stanley Howard is our men's health coordinator. If you'd like to have anyone?
Yes.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you for the resolution. I'm here to serve, and that's my job, to get out in the community, to educate, to just make men aware. If I can get them to think just for a second about their health, then that'll make a better Forsyth County, a better Winston-Salem. Thank you.
Chairman, if I may, just not questions, but comments. First of all, I need to say thank you to Joshua. Sarita, I appreciate you so much, but I appreciate you even the more. I appreciate you being in the community and really, really meaning what you listened, in essence. I thank you because in some folks' minds, when they think that women can't keep their skirts down, that you're teaching men, leaders, pastors, fathers, men to lead households. So I appreciate you and thank you for all that you do for this community and you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys turn around. Get a picture. Next item on the agenda is a resolution recognizing June 10 through 16, 2024, excuse me. Get a little lost again. Next item on the agenda is a resolution recognizing June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth National Independence Day in Forsyth County. And we have Commissioner Shea Woodbury to read the resolution. I'd like to invite Ty Wade, Miss Juneteenth, who is here to receive the resolution. Please take your time walking up.
Thank you, Chair Martin. It is an honor to present this resolution to our community and to give it to, of course, our 2023 Queen Juneteenth, Ty Wade. And the resolution reads, Resolution recognizing June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth National Independence Day in Forsyth County, North Carolina. Whereas news of the end of slavery did not reach the southeastern states until months after the conclusion of the Civil War, almost 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. Whereas on June 19th, 1865, Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas with news that the Civil War had ended and the enslaved were free. Whereas African Americans who had been slaves in the South celebrated June 19th, commonly known as Juneteenth National Independence Day, as inspiration and encouragement for future generations. Whereas African Americans from the South have continued the tradition of observing Juneteenth National Independence Day for more than 150 years, whereas Juneteenth National Independence Day began as a holiday in the state of Texas and is now celebrated in 46 states and the District of Columbia as a special day of observance in recognition of the emancipation of all slaves in the United States. Whereas Juneteenth National Independence Day celebrations have been held to honor African Americans' freedom while encouraging self-development and respect for all cultures. Whereas the faith and strength of character demonstrated by former slaves and the descendants of former slaves remain an example of all people of the United States, regardless of background, religion, or race. Whereas slavery was not officially abolished until the ratification of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States on December 6, 1865, and whereas over the course of its history, the United States has grown into a symbol of democracy and freedom, around the world. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners recognize the historical significance of Juneteenth National Independence Day to the United States and supports the continued nationwide celebration to better understand the experiences that have shaped the United States, adopted the 13th day of June 2024.
Second that motion. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you very much, and you want to have a little comments.
To Chair Martin and Vice Chair Wiseman and Forsyth County Commissioners, thank you for this resolution to recognize Juneteenth, a national holiday that highlights the significance of the journey of African Americans. I am the proud 2023 Queen Juneteenth. It has been an honor to serve my community on behalf of the Queen Juneteenth Project. I have been enriched with scholarships, sisterhood, service to community, theoretical performance, my cultural heritage, and most importantly, social emotional intelligence, so that I can be my best me. Thanks to this pageant, I will receive $30,000 to attend North Carolina Central University next fall, where I plan to major in business administration to pursue a career in real estate. Thank you again, and I hope to see everybody at the Queen Juneteenth Scholarship Pageant tomorrow, May 14th, 7 p.m. at Paisley Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you. Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the meeting of May the 30th, 2024. Do you have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any calls or cards for the public session?
Mr. Chairman, we don't have any calls, but we have one speaker card.
All right.
Alan Daniel, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Alan Daniel, 100 Fernworth Court in Clemens. I would like to address the needs of our Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools, but not in the way that you might be expecting. I would like to address the needs of all the public schools in the state of North Carolina and where our failure lies. And that is not among you all. I know that you all have been working very hard for the last few weeks and especially the last few days. I was out of town or I'd have been here, trying to come up with a budget that meets the school's needs and also recognizes that we as citizens of this county cannot afford unlimited taxes. The problem lies in Raleigh. I think we all know that. What I encourage each one of you to do, especially my fellow Republicans among you, is to please call the people you know in Raleigh, go down there and sit across the desk from them and ask them to spend some of that. I believe a friend told me it was $908 million surplus this year and $5 billion somewhere in a pot of money somewhere to fund our schools. I want to tell you a sad fact. We all know that we look down on Alabama here in North Carolina, both geographically and socioeconomically. Average teacher pay in Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools, which is about the 7th highest in the state of North Carolina, is $50 plus or minus $1,000. State of Alabama, the average teacher pay is $61,000. That's real sad. That's real sad. Our teachers, our FCAE has gone to Raleigh, our NCAE has gone to Raleigh. They're not listening to a bunch of teachers. Okay, I ran for school board a couple years ago. One of the reasons I ran was to, as a Republican, go to Raleigh and try to talk some sense into somebody. You all are elected officials who have the respect of our legislature. Please ask them to let go of some of our money. It's our money, it's not their money. To fund our education system so that we don't have to have teachers working 2 jobs and teachers leaving the profession to earn a decent living. I talked to a teacher today who pays $1,700 for a 1-bedroom apartment in Winston-Salem on a salary of about $45,000 a year.
Mr. Daniels?
Not sustainable. So that's my plea to you all, is to talk to the folks in Raleigh. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Now, we're at a point, I saw Kyle come back in for kind of a point for the, turn it over to you for regular meeting. Do we want to return back to the budget?
I think I could get through the business items pretty quickly, and then I would, before we do that, just like to make sure Kyle's okay and doesn't need a recess. But if we could go ahead and finish out with the formal business meeting, that'd be terrific. Is that okay?
Go.
Does that work? All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, board members and staff and guests. We just do have some business items for consideration this afternoon. They have been reviewed in briefing sessions. We've gotten through most everything. I got 1 or 2 just clarifications we'll need to make as you take up these items. And so you've got a couple of budget and finance items. Item 8 is an amendment to the FY 23-24 budget ordinance that appropriates some Operation Fan Heat Relief program funding to continue administration of that program. It is $3,275 that will be, and the fans will be distributed by DSS.
We have a motion. Motion by Commissioner Bessie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Agenda item 9 is an amendment to the fiscal year 23-24 budget ordinance that appropriates claims proceeds for fleet vehicles, claims repairs that appropriates $99,447.99 that will be used to repair vehicles.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion is approved by Commissioner Plyler. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
We have 6 contractual items. Item 10 is a resolution awarding and authorizing execution of a contract with Brentwood Services Administrators for comprehensive risk management third-party administrative services for workers' compensation, auto, general, and property liability claims. Went out to the market, looked at what the market had to offer. We are recommending the lowest bidder for professional services in the amount of $71,250.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 11 is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with Wake Forest University Baptist Medical Center for wellness, on-site medical services, and occupational health services. We had a contract with them. This way, I had $35,000 a year for off-site lab services and some occupational health services they were not providing before.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler. Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 12 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Josh Myers Valuation Solution LLC to provide statistical analysis services, not to exceed $24,000 a year. This really supports the complex work around the revaluation.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Item 13 is a resolution authorizing execution of an engagement letter and audit contract with Cherry Beckert LLP to complete the annual independent audit for Forsyth County for fiscal year 23-24, subject to approval by the Secretary of the Local Government Commission. All counties have to have an annual audit, obviously, provides that, not to exceed $118,000.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 14 is a resolution authorizing execution of agreement with Support Systems of Forsyth County Transportation LLC to provide a micro-transit service to county residents for employment-related transportation in an amount not to exceed $97,231.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, all right. My able deputy has let me know that I jumped and missed something. Hold on, let me make sure. Should be active on it. I don't think I skipped anything, but somebody let me know if I did. Item 14, I think I was mentioning the numbers wrong, is I think what happened, is a resolution authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement with the City of King and standard fire and rescue agreements with Griffith, Gumtree, Hornytown, Louisville, Mineral Springs, Old Richmond, Piney Grove, Salem Chapel, Vienna, and Walkertown Volunteer Fire Departments to serve Forsyth County Fire Services for a period of 5 years. This is the base agreement for fire services. There were a few changes in the agreement from the last rendition, Gordon. Is there anything you want to mention regarding that? I think they were fairly non-substantive.
There's no change in substance. There was a change in just the language of Section 14 dealing with a possible switch to countywide service district. It was emphasized that would not take, any switch would not take place until there was a full discussion with the fire departments and staff, and that if it turned out that the county-wide service district, the amount coming from that to any fire department was less than they received in the prior year with the district tax, they could opt out of the system.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler. Be happy to second that. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, we have one property matter. Item 15 is a resolution authorizing execution of a consolidated and restated lease agreement with Horizons Residential Care Center that essentially accommodates that ARPA-funded project to build the 2 new residential units there.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Plyler. Any discussion?
Just a question, is this item 15 or 16?
Yeah, 16 on mine too. But I've been tracking that
I'm 15.
you haven't missed anything. I don't think.
Yeah, I know. It's strange. I'm looking at the website, and on the web, which is what the deputy manager mentioned, this item is item 14 on it.
It's 15 on mine.
I believe it may have been updated to add the economic development item as number 1, but
It has been updated.
There you go.
Thank you, Gordon. All right. I think we're all right, whatever that means. So,
Now, we're ready to vote, but we're missing one here. But
I think you're good, though.
all right. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously of those present. All righty.
Very good. Well, there is one added item, and so this is you've seen these from time to time. It is item 16 on the website, and I'm not sure, maybe it's 15 where, is a resolution granting Evelyn Denise Price a hardship exemption of the residency required for the position as a department manager position. So we do have department managers that are, it typically happens when they sort of get promoted up and have worked in the county a long time. They happen to not be residents, and then they get a promotion into a department manager position. And so that essentially grants that for her.
Move approval.
We have a motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhut and Commissioner Plyler. Is there a second? I'd be happy to second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and so let me look to Kyle. Do we need a recess? Are we good to go? We're good to go?
All right, so
let me just check with these guys. We're going to adjourn our meeting and go back. We're good? Yep. Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I believe you need to...
Yeah, I will. I'd like to ask for a motion to return to the special budget session.
So moved.
I'll second the motion to adjourn this meeting and return to the
That's perfect. Perfect. We have a motion by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Bessie to actually adjourn the regular meeting, return to the special meeting that we began earlier. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We're back to now the special meeting. And we're having Chantel Robinson, our Deputy County Manager, review the structure of the budget ordinance. And our Attorney Gordon Watkins will review the procedural aspects for adoption. And then Kyle Haney will actually, not Kyle Haney, but Kyle Wolf will review our actual budget options, and we'll be ready for consideration. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, Commissioners. So what you have before you are 3 budget ordinances, and I'm going to review structurally what each one states, and Kyle Wolf, our Budget Director, will go in more details on your various options. So the budget ordinance is certainly an important document for us here in Forsyth County, as it essentially sets the tax rate, and for all 3 would be 67.78 cents. The top section 1 is the revenues and appropriated fund balances, and those for all 3 are a little bit different because of the appropriated fund balance. The one in front of you is the item that Linville Wisenhunt lifted up, and so the total general fund revenues and appropriated fund balance for that would be $580 million. $164,504, and then structurally underneath are all of our special revenue funds that we have here in Forsyth County. For total revenues and appropriated fund balance of $584,572,280. Section 2 is appropriations. There were no significant changes from previous years on here, but this is an important section as it grants the county manager various authorities on how we can operate throughout the year. I'm happy to go into any specific details, but within it gives all of the authority levels, and none of that has changed from previous years. It also has in here the appropriation for the schools that they're supposed to come back to the board on their true-ups, essentially by on or before October 18th, 2024. And it provides the language for our county maintenance of effort funding for behavioral health services. That is something the board already authorized and approved several weeks ago. This next section just lists all of our general fund items, so essentially our department operations. In here does have some differences between the 3 options that you will be in front of you on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. On this particular one, we do have the classified pay, a budget reserve of $500,000, and that's the same on all 3 plans. Computer refresh one-time funds of $2 million, and you can see that right there. That is outlined in the budget ordinance. The other thing I want to point out on this particular one for the schools is that the transfer to county facilities fund one time of $1.7 million, that is the one-time funds for the radios. The rest, again, are kind of departmental operations. And again, our budget director will go in more details on that. So our total operating budget subtotal is $491,076,449. The next items talk about our debt service and then all of the other, again, special revenue funds that we have for total appropriations of $584,572,280. Contingency language is the same as previous years. The compensation allowances of elected officials, as you know, all elected officials are eligible to receive the average performance adjustments, which is the same as regular employees. The average is 3.63%, and that is what the increase would be for all of you on the county commissioners, as well as the sheriff and the register of deeds. There's also a statement that was added in last year's budget ordinance that carries over that states the compensation for the Board of Education will be equivalent of 75% of the commissioner salaries. This next section is also a very important section in our budget ordinance, and it talks about the authorization for the sheriff and register of deeds, the number of positions that they are allotted. This was changed, and this basically essentially reduces the amount that the sheriff's office is authorized for full-time positions at a not to exceed 586, and that essentially recognizes the reduction of the detention officers. So they are allowed at 586 not to exceed full-time positions, 24 part-time positions, and for sworn, full-time sworn may not exceed 285 positions. And then for the Register of Deeds, it's a total of 21 positions. And that is the same for all three options based on consensus that we understood. Section 6, the ad valorem tax levy, essentially just states that beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025, that all property would be assessed at a rate of 67.78 cents. And that is the same for all three options. Section 7 talks about the debt leveling plans, and it states that 4.3 cents of the tax rate is designated solely for the education debt leveling plan. 0.55 cents is designated for the 2016 library debt leveling plan. 5.45 cents is designated for the 2016 public improvement bonds debt leveling plan, and 1.2 cents is designated for the 2019 courthouse debt leveling plan. Section 8 is the levy of privilege license and other taxes. No changes to that section was made. Section 9, the tax levies for fire and fire rescue protection districts, is essentially the same language, but there were some changes to the ones that had requested an increase. And if Deputy Manager Sanders Pratt could just really quickly go over the ones that changed on that section.
So as I reviewed with the board yesterday, on this list, Clemens, which also serves South Fork, the rate would be increased from 6 cents currently to 8 cents is the recommendation, which is a 2-cent increase. Also on this list, Louisville is at 8.5 cents currently. It would increase another 0.5 cent to 9 cents. Old Richmond is at 9.5 cents. And it will be increased to 11.5 cents is the recommendation. And then Griffith is at 8.5 cents, and the recommendation is to move that to 11 cents. All the other fire department and tax districts have remained the same.
Thank you, sir. Section 10 is the Employee Health Benefits Internal Service Fund. This is essentially how we pay for our employee benefits. And so the total number is $36,243,073. Section 11, our capital improvement plan. There were no changes except is included in your budget document is the proposed 2025 to 2030 major capital improvements program. Section 12 is something that we added. This is the Law Enforcement Officer Special Separation Allowance Fund. This is what we had been referring to as LEOSA. This is essentially authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to no longer reserve funds in that account moving forward, and we did appropriate more of those funds in the general fund for you all to utilize this budget cycle. Section 13 is just a statement on the American Rescue Plan Act funds. This will probably be the last year you see this, but it talks about the revenue loss that we had of $6,064,715. It states that in this budget, the adopted budget includes a transfer of $3,235,351, and essentially that was from interest earnings and other things that were appropriated from reversions in the budget. Section 14 is the federal procurement policy micro purchase threshold. That is just some legalese language that has not changed from previous years. Section 15, grantee organization agreements, is also standard language that has been in previous ordinances and essentially states that it's the expectation of commissioners that community organizations aren't reliant on county funds. Section 16 did have a few changes. So teacher supplements is essentially identical to previous years. It just talks about the intent of Article 46 sales tax referendum to assist with teacher supplements. We also added a B, again, and this is in the Linville-Wisenhunt, and it's all on all three, of one-time funding, and this is the one-time funding of $1,706,805. That's for the bus school radios that will be transferred to the county's facilities funds for our radio upgrade project that we will do for the school system. And then an additional $2 million to be directed for the computer refresh for students and staff. I'll go through what a C is on the other two in just a second. Section 17 is the fee schedule that is in your binders, and so this is just referencing that section of your binder that you would be authorizing and adopting through this budget ordinance. Section 18 is the county pay plan. You should have, it should be attached with you in front of you. That is an attachment B, and it's essentially saying that you would adopt it effective August 17th, 2024. And the reason for August 17th just gives our human resources staff time to actually process all of the adjustments. And that is something that we had in the budget, the manager's recommended budget, and it authorizes the county manager to implement the pay plan. Section 19 is the board-directed initiatives. I definitely want to make sure that we are clear and you are in agreement. This is what I thought I heard from you all, and I do want to read all five. The first one is for staff to conduct a fire study to determine the adequacy of the fire tax and service districts to create a more equitable level of fire and rescue service across the system. The second one is actually a carryover from last year, but we wanted to make sure it was lifted up again. And it states, in light of dramatically increasing property valuations throughout the county, which will be recognized in the 2025 property tax revaluation, communicate with the volunteer fire departments regarding the potential of revenue-neutral fire district tax rate adjustments in the fiscal year 25-26 budget. 3 is facilitate a board discussion and provide proposed criteria and a process for community grants. 4 is facilitate a board discussion and provide proposed criteria and a process for PAYGO projects. And 5 is communicate with Winston-Salem Forsyth County school leadership regarding the $500,000 allocated in a budget reserve until the Board of Education can provide a comprehensive compensation classification recommendation for classified salaries, including an estimate of the implementation cost. And that is the same language we used last year for the $1 million. And then Section 20 is slightly changed. It's the PAYGO projects. In previous years, we have listed kind of managers' recommendations on that. What we thought we heard from the commissioners is that we would identify projects with you as well as recommendations that we may have and essentially make decisions on that after our year-end results, after the audit closes. And then, of course, this would be effective July 1st, 2024. And again, that is the Linville-Wisenhunt plan. Some changes, I won't go through every section. This is the Woodbury plan, and of course, the general fund revenues and appropriate fund balance did slightly change. And again, Mr. Wolf will go through what that is in his presentation. Nothing on appropriations changed. Do want to point out that on Woodbury's plan, it did include the school nurses for public health, as well as pre-K, computer refresh, social workers, and radios. And again, you'll see that on Mr. Wolf's. So some of the numbers on this change just based on the appropriated fund balance. The main thing I want to point out, and you're going to see this on the other plan as well, is C under the school system, and it essentially has use of funds, and it states, as referenced above, the fiscal year 24-25 adopted budget includes funding for Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools in the amount of $177,938,100. It's the intent of the Board of County Commissioners and the and that the increased funds over fiscal year 2024 are to be used for their requests for pre-K and for social workers. We were silent on nurses because the nurses are going to public health, and that is stated on both plans. I would be happy to answer any questions. As I stated, Kyle Wolf will go through more clearly on the spreadsheets the difference of the options.
Any questions for Deputy County Manager Chantel Robinson? I think we are now ready for our Budget Director, Kyle Wolf, to give us a little different overview of the options for consideration.
Did you want to?
I'm sorry, I skipped over our guidance from the attorney. My apologies.
Yeah, so the guidance I have is the same we've been following for the past couple of years. I'm sure you're tired of me saying this, but according to North Carolina General Statute 14-234.3, a commissioner may not vote to fund or enter into a contract with a nonprofit organization if that commissioner serves on that nonprofit organization's board. I believe we have two nonprofits that the board may consider funding. So what we would do, and I believe what all of these proposals have done, is they strip those two out. Those two are Caladium and Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership. So what you would vote on, whichever one of the three you vote on, is going to be clean. It's not going to have those two, so all 7 of you can vote on that. Then I believe Mr. Wolf will bring forward an amendment which will add Caladium, and so I believe it's Commissioner Martin would need to recuse himself publicly, and then the 6 of you could vote whether or not to add Caladium. And then after that, we would go to Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, which would be a second amendment, and I believe Commissioner Woodbury would need to recuse herself on that one. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions for our attorney? All righty, we're ready now for Kyle Wolf.
And getting going. I do not have a spreadsheet that shows all the different plans. As I was trying to line up the budget ordinances, but I was going to walk through the 3 different ones, similar to what, but I'm not sure how much helpful that will be, since Ms. Robinson did a great job kind of outlining the differences. But what I can say is what you have at your desk are 3 different ordinances. At the top, one says DM/DP/DB/TM. So initials of the commissioners that we've worked with on that specific ordinance. There's another one, RLGW, which is the initials for the 2 commissioners on that ordinance. And the other one is MW, which is Commissioner Woodbury's ordinance as well. And so what you'll notice is that, when you go through the general fund, it ranges at anywhere from $580,164,504, which is a Commissioner Linville and Wisenhut's plan, all the way up to $583,718,640, which is the Martin Plyler Bessie McDaniel plan. And Commissioner Woodbury's is $582,782,468. The other parts, once you get past the general fund, we have our law enforcement equitable distribution fund, the 911 fund, the Moser fund, and the opioid fund. Those are all budgeted the same in all 3 plans. So there's nothing to really to look at for differences there. And when you go into the general fund section, as Ms. Robinson said, where you'll see the differences is in the allocation for public health. So for example, this is the Martin Plyler Bessie McDaniel plan. You can see public health here has a budget of $27,711,295. That's the same amount in Commissioner Woodbury's plan as well. In Commissioner Wisenhut and Linville's plan, public health is budgeted slightly less, $27,286,011. And so that difference there is the 5 school nurses that are in the other 2 plans, not included in the Linville-Wisenhunt plan. The next difference you would see is in the school system, and that there is a difference in all 3 plans as far as the school system allocation goes. So in the Martin, Plyler, Bessie, McDaniel plan, the schools would receive 177,441, 136. In the Linville-Wisenhunt plan, it's 175, 795, 420, which is actually the number that was in the FY25 recommended budget. And then in Commissioner Woodbury's, it's just slightly higher than Dr. Martin and Mr. Plyler, Mr. Bessie, and Ms. McDaniel's plan, 177, 938, 100. All 3, the next difference you would notice is in community economic development in the plan with the 4 sponsors there. You've got community economic development at 4447613 in Commissioner Linville and Wisenhunt's plan, and in Commissioner Woodbury's plan, it is $50,000 less. So the difference there is the $50,000 that's included in the other option for economic development contract with Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. The next difference would be in general services. So again, in the plan sponsored by the 4 commissioners, it's $18,676,227 is the allocation for general services. And in Commissioner Woodbury and in Commissioner Linville and Wisenhunt's different plans, it is $18,581,727. And so the difference there is the 1.5 positions for security upgrades at the Health and Human Services campus. Almost done with the differences. The next difference would be in the attorney's office, and so you can see the attorney's office in this plan is at $2,147,539 in both Commissioner Linville's plan and in Commissioner Woodbury's option. The attorney's office is at $2,282,931, and so that's the senior assistant county attorney that was requested there. And then the biggest and then the real big difference that you'll notice is in community grants, where you will see in the Martin, Plyler, Bessie, McDaniel plan, it is at $1,922,250. In the Linville-Wisenhunt plan, it's at $448,222. And in Commissioner Woodbury's plan, it's $498,222. So there's a difference of $50,000 between Commissioner Woodbury's plan and Commissioner Linville and Wisenhunt's plan. The difference, they actually both agree or both recommend funding for Harry veterans and the trans aid cost. And then Kernersville Chamber of Commerce, Commissioner Woodbury has $50,000 for Triad Cultural Arts in theirs. And then in the other plan, you would see them really outlined in Appendix A, the very last page of the ordinance. There is a list of what we're highlighting as community grants. And so, and these community grants, again, are also in the other 2 ordinances, just not all of them. It's in the other 2 grants, you would see the Kernersville Chamber of Commerce, and you would see the Harry Veterans Community Outreach in both of the other ones. And then, again, so you have another outline of allocations there. As Mr. Watkins said, we do have in all three plans, there is a reserve for community grants in non-departmental for $295,000. And so again, that's $275,000 for Callidium and $20,000 for the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, to allow everyone to vote on the ordinance as a whole, and then for those who need to recuse themselves for the reasons that Mr. Watkins referenced, you'd be able to do that. And so really those are that's the outline of the differences. And so happy to answer any questions you might have.
And I think because this is a little more difficult way to look at it, it all does point back to exactly what we've been working through in the summary. So
it does. Again, there were some, tweaks to it from this.
Yeah,
morning,
we spent more energy making sure this was correct than trying to update this was the bottom line. So, all right, thank you, Kyle.
Questions? I've got one particularly on the Appendix A you just went over.
Okay.
And I'm making the assumption, and you may have said this, I was finding it and listening, but apparently the differences between the three kind of budget proposals are the community grants are different.
That's correct, sir.
The community grants are different, but the remainder of those, which includes...
Are the same.
Are exactly the same,
That's
which is
correct.
basically the equivalent of a page and a half almost.
That's right.
So those are, because those have not shown up in any...
Correct.
In our regular
Yeah,
work
and
kind
so
of issues.
Appendix A is our, it kind of is, it's referenced in the second paragraph in Section 2, where we talk about different agreements. And so, the other, it's really, I know that there's the JCPC organizations, the behavioral health
Yeah, I got it.
things. Yeah. So,
Behavioral health, opioid settlement grant
Yes,
funds,
sir.
JCPC, community grants, basically got it. Yep.
Really just to clarify that we don't have to bring those back to you for
Got it.
consideration through an agenda. Yep.
Got it. Any other questions for Kyle? I mean, there's a lot, and
I'm
to
sorry.
be a little, I think I followed. Any other questions for Kyle? All right, it's good. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Bessie.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move approval of what has now been relabeled the Martin, Plyler, Bessie, and McDaniel option for the budget ordinance.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Bessie, second by Commissioner McDaniel.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Excuse me?
I'd like to make a substitute, amend the motion.
All right.
I'd like to move to approve option B.
Second.
We have a motion to approve option B, and that would be basically yours, correct?
Correct.
And we have a second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. All righty, is any discussion on that motion?
I would like to share a few points about this motion that unfortunately there is no unanimous support for the overall budget, but I do want to say that we tried. And as you can see, the difference is about special appropriations, but I am so happy to let this community know that we work together to maximize support for public school education. So thank you so much for the school district input and the citizens of this county to hold us to task to work together to support public school education. So I'm very proud of that. And before I move, I do want to recognize that board members Miller, Crowley, and Chair Kaplan are in the audience representing the school district, and we have the CFO and, of course, Tommy Cranston and Tricia McManus, our superintendent. I would be remiss if I didn't say that. I also want to say that this option was really, as a neophyte on the county commission, to listen to the wisdom that's already here and to try to work with others to figure out a way to, be good stewards over the citizens' dollars. And so I tried to reconsider what I believe to be a strategic move to raise taxes at least for 1 year, since we're at a point next year there would be a re-eval. So I said it would drop back down the next year and we could maximize more money for public schools this year. And although unfortunately the burden of the tax for 1 year would go on the folk in the community that has the most value in their homes, I think we heard from the citizens that said we would make the sacrifice for public school education. But nevertheless, in order to work with my colleagues, I understood the importance of keeping our tax rate the same. So we maneuvered option B and we got the tax rate down to where Vice Chair Wisenhunt said, I'm proud of you. You're learning something. And so I was appreciative in trying to, again, work in a collaborative space so that we could present a budget. I think that we agreed ultimately that the sheriff's priorities to keep our community safe was of importance, and I recognize his willingness to negotiate in order to keep a viable project that makes sure that youth in our community have a chance to do the right thing through the JIT team. And so I know that he is working hard to make sure that his team is out there doing the preventive instead of the reaction work, which gives a lot of time juveniles a second chance at life to be productive citizens. And so, you know, this option fully supported the JIT team to continue on in our community. The last piece that I will say, and it kind of hurts me to have to say this around special appropriations. I don't support special appropriations as it is right now because the process is woefully and unfairly flawed. That's just the bottom line. And it hurts me to say right now that as we were going through this process, and you can believe me or not, one of the projects was highlighted by one of us as a commissioner. Don't support it because there's personal things going on behind special appropriations. And all of us fall victim to it because we're human. So, of course, I like some things more than others, but there is no substantial reason why one should be over the other if we don't have a process that attempts to neutralize our biases. So
Any additional discussion?
So
Took a breath, so I thought maybe you were finished.
In conclusion, thank you for helping me to wrap it up. In conclusion, I ask for support for option B because it supports public school, it absolutely supports the sheriff initiative of JIT, and it tries to treat all citizens asking for special appropriations more fairly. Thank you.
I would like to, any other comments?
Yes, question, Kyle. On Commissioner Woodbury is one of the sheets of hers that I can't find, but the rate she states is 6778. What is the fund balance used, total fund balance?
On Commissioner Woodbury's, the total fund balance is $32,402,630, but the unreserved fund balance that she would be using is $18,858,988. That's the unreserved fund balance is the number that we target for reversions each year.
$18,988,000.
$18,858,988. So $18.6 million.
Any other questions? All right. I'll make it clear that the vote on this motion is Commissioner Woodbury's motion. We sort of departed from A, B, and C's yesterday. So this is that single particular motion that is on the floor. So all in favor of that, please raise your hand. Motion has 3 votes and fails. Now we're ready to return to the original motion, which was basically the 4 of us. It was Commissioner Martin, myself. Commissioner Plyler, Commissioner Bessie, and Commissioner McDaniel. Is there any discussion on that proposal? Commissioner Bessie.
Thank you. Just by way of hitting a couple of highlights, this leaves the tax rate unchanged. There is no tax rate increase, as would the other two have done. It substantially increases funding for our local public schools, which is a priority, I think, of everyone on this commission. Approximately $9 million in extra spending on school system priorities, more than half of which goes into the recurring budget for operational expenditures on a year-over-year basis. It does respond to the sheriff's request to retain his JIT team, and it also makes other increases, substantial ones, to the Sheriff's Department budget for public safety. And finally, one thing that we haven't talked a lot about today, but I think is important to a lot of people, it substantially increases funding for emergency services, particularly our rescue services, our ambulance service. I think that it is, while no budget is ever perfect, and the essence of budgeting in a democracy is compromise, I think this is a good budget that shores up previous weaknesses in our county spending, and I'm happy to support it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment.
Please.
I still prefer the Whiston Hunt Linville, but it don't have the votes. And the Commissioner Woodbury's keeps the same rate, approximately not quite $1 million less in fund balance, but it does spend less money of the Mr. Martin's proposal than Miss Woodbury, but it still is spending more money than the Whiston Hunt Linville auction. So sometimes you get in a hard place that you'd rather not be in. That's where I'm at. That's just, I've been through many of them, and that's just the way things works.
Appreciate your comments. Any other comments?
I would just like to say that unfortunately, I can't support this option, although, you know, my governmental kind of methodology is to always try to, you know, work authentically with the team. But, you know, I won't support the budget that is up for approval, again, because of the process of how we appoint special appropriations, which those dollars really could have been used to further support of public school, since the system is flawed, and we can make it better so that it is more fair. Thank you.
I do.
One more discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain the Whiston Hunt Linville. We started out, we were the first to propose a budget, and our county manager had, his recommendation was for a tax increase. I don't think it will surprise anybody that Richard and I did not want a tax increase. And so our budget eliminated so many of the special appropriations. My philosophy around special appropriations is very, very different from some of the other members. And I believe in it, and I will always vote that way, because I don't think I should mandate what the taxpayers should be doing with charity. I think that's their decision, not mine. But we, you know, we just tried to find a way to have a simple budget that would be good for our taxpayers. But I did support Commissioner Woodbury's because hers, she had less special appropriations. Richard and I used less fund balance. We do not believe that we should use a huge amount of fund balance. So I'm not going to apologize for our budget, but I'm fine with what I did. I will support Commissioner Woodbury's. But I want to say this to the school system. We've listened a great deal, and we have increased their budget a great deal. It's not the $20 million, but it's pretty darn close. And the teacher pay, I want to say I think that it's important for teachers to be paid. But I think there's an elephant in the room that we have not addressed, and that is I think some of the teachers are having a problem with behavior of the students. And I think that definitely needs to be addressed along with asking, we can do that here locally, and then address the state for more money. So thank you, and thank you to all the staff. I declare, I don't know how y'all were still walking. I know you hadn't had any sleep. We haven't had much. But thank you to the staff for what you've done for this budget. Thank you.
Are there any further comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. For those opposed? Motion carries 4-3. Good. We have a quick item, and then we each have an opportunity to make any further remarks that we would like to make. We do have an item, though, that deals with an agenda amendment. The next item is the agenda is an amendment to the FY 24-25 budget ordinance for appropriations to outside agencies and to create a special appropriation for Callidium. I'm recusing myself because I serve on that board and would like to ask Vice Chair Wisenhunt to conduct that vote.
Okay. Is there a motion to grant Callidium $275,000?
Move to approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner McDaniel. I'll second that. All in favor, please raise your hand. Carries.
Excuse me.
It carries.
Okay, thank you. I was looking for hands. I was looking. All righty. We do have an opportunity finally for some commissioner comments. We've had several of them.
We still have one more.
We have one more.
Oh, we do. I'm sorry. I didn't. That actually wasn't attached. Mine. Yes, we do have the item regarding the downtown partnership. Excuse me. So I'd like to basically, please, is it you? Please recuse yourself from that. Go ahead and do that.
Is it?
Well, we're considering a motion for the support for the downtown partnership, as I recall, that is $20,000. And would you like to make a comment?
Yes. So I am a member of the Downtown Winston-Salem Board, and I need to recuse myself. I guess that's just a simple language, Gordon. I need to make, thank you.
Thank you. Now, any discussion about that motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner Bessie. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry.
Carries 5-2. Or Mr. Plyer did not see your hand raised. It passes 5 by 5. It passes. There we go. Got it. Now we have the final part. We do have an opportunity for commissioner comments, and I'd like to invite, we can start with Commissioner Plyler if there's anything he would like to say.
I'll be very brief. I think we've done our job. I think the folks in the room feel that way. And I also think that we did a lot of good. We did not meet all of the requests of all of the people who ask us to say yes or say no, but that's part of the process. And I think we can be proud when we walk out of here that we have gotten out of here without too much trouble. And I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to serve with you.
Commissioner Bessie.
I'd like to thank our outgoing county manager, our incoming county manager, all the staff for your hard work in preparing the budget and getting us ready to act today. I'd like to thank all of my colleagues on the commission for your hard work and careful deliberations. It was a good model of civility and discussion and substantive discussion. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't say this specifically earlier, but there were things that I would have put in a budget that were not, selected for this. There were things that I wouldn't have, chosen to put in that were in the budget. But again, the essence of budgeting in a democracy is compromise. You have to be willing to work and make compromises to get the process done. And so I was happy to support the final product because, among other things, it substantially increases our investment in our local public schools. And that was my number one priority this budget year. Thank you.
Commissioner Woodbury.
I know that I've said enough, but I do want to, first of all, thank the citizens of this county for entrusting us to be good stewards of your tax dollars. And we, I believe, have done a good job only because we have a great staff that has worked tirelessly over and over and over again to continue to perfect the process in order for us to present a budget before the citizens. And so I am humbled to serve, and I look forward to continuing to work with the commissioners to do the work of the citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Linville, would you like to add anything?
I forgot about the staff to begin with, but thank them for all of their work, because it's I'd have a terrible headache by the end of the day if I had to do all that paperwork. But you've eliminated a lot of the paperwork. Years ago, it would have taken at least a day or two for them to get the ordinance ready. That's when we got to isn't that about right, Mr. Manager? I mean, it's even before your time, and I'm sure you've seen the day that it, when the board decided what they wanted to do, it'd take at least a day, at minimum maybe two, because of all of the more, just didn't have the computer assets that they have now. Right. Than we've had for a while.
Mr. McDaniel.
Thank you, Chairman. I will say that this budget has been one of the toughest ones that I've been in the 5 years that I've been here. But I thank you, Dudley. This is your last hoorah, but I'm very excited to where we're going with our new county manager, Chantel Robinson. I want to say that for my community that I serve, and that is inclusive of all, that this budget was designed for me and the constituency with integrity, fairness, and equity. That has been my dedication to District A, and that's where I will be moving forward and continuously until they don't want me anymore. So I'm grateful to the staff for listening to us. Kyle, I know I've worn you out, but thank you so very much. I appreciate you, and others as well. And I also wanted to thank this board for the collaboration, because if you see, it's this collaboration of Black and brown Republicans and Democrats that work together for the good of the whole of this county. And that's how we're moving forward together and stronger together. Thank you so very much.
Vice Chair Wizenhut.
Well, I made my remarks basically a while ago, but I just want to reiterate how proud I am of the staff. And I know, Dudley, you're just tickled pink, because this is your last budget. But we're going to miss you. And thank you for all you've done for us. But thank you, staff, and please get some rest this weekend. Thank you.
I'd just like to say a few comments at the end. And I'd like to begin with the staff part too. And Dudley Watson and I've worked together for both on the school district side and the county commissioner side for 17 years. And I appreciate his honesty and integrity in this process. And he's certainly been thoughtful in this one. And I don't know, I won't ask him to comment on this, but this is probably in the top 3 or 4 contentious and difficult budgets, partly because of resources. So it was a difficult time for him, and it was an opportunity for our new county manager to deal with an experience of sort of a difficult budget and difficult times, and those are usually great learning experiences. So hopefully that will carry forward for next year, and all the staff members. Kyle, this is tedious work done kind of when Commissioner Linville, back when there was time, when it had a couple of days to prepare the ordinance and work on it, you weren't quite under as much pressure as you are in a matter of about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to get everything and to make sure you have dotted every I. In fact, County Manager Watts said that, there's a lot of things that are hard, but he said this one's kind of like a heart surgery. It's got to be accurate. It's got to be on the money. So, because what this is done, and so I really appreciate your quiet patience during this process too. And so fire tax was not simple this year either, and I want to thank our Deputy County Manager, Damon Sanders Pratt, for collecting a lot of data, several people involved for a lot of sidebar conversations to actually kind of get to the place that we got to today on the fire tax part. And it is one of the first 2 items really deal with addressing sort of the crossing the roads that we find ourselves in a fire tax district, which is districts period, and how we go forward from that. And so first 2 items deal both with the the potential revenue neutral rates, as well as the actual adequacy of the current district, the fire districts that we have. So that has been a big one, and is a big board directive initiative for next year. And as far as in fact, a lot of other staff, there are a lot of folks sitting on the front row that have been sitting right up here for about 3 solid days, and I really wish I could read their minds, because I can only, maybe I won't wish that, because I suspect that there's some thoughts I probably wouldn't want to hear, but I appreciate your professionalism and your time and your energy in responding to this. And by the way, we did speak a week ago today in our budget workshop, and I think I kind of made a joke a little bit about how much time in the big budget. It was a $580 million budget. We have spent a lot of time here in the last few days over about $2 million of that. And so the work of doing the $578 million was all done by staff, and there are a lot of them in this room, all over the room, dealing with sort of going through every little piece, and personnel changes, the continuation budget, the piece of that dealing with all those things. And so that part, it certainly does not go unnoticed by all of us for the time that you spend and the efforts that you make to see that all those things happen. And Terry, thank you for your work. I have a sheet that you passed out back on April 24th that helped me a lot. It's kind of like reaching a point where it's been around, but the format that it was put in on the fund balance analysis was extremely insightful. I appreciated that, and you did a great job with that. And as always, Gordon keeps us clear on the details and the processes and procedures, and we have certainly an excellent legal services department too. So I can't say enough about the staff. For all of us as commissioners, I think the statement, I may have made this statement to the sheriff yesterday, that it's great that we can disagree and yet be agreeable. And we have had, this group here did the best they could to try to actually strive for consensus, because we really weren't off by a lot, but it was some basic issues that could not get beyond, that we couldn't. But we'll smile when this is over, and we'll be able to be pleasant next week, and we will continue forward, which is very, very, very important. So that is key. And I will mention, I did want to say two very specific things, is that the points that Commissioner Woodbury raised about the issues on community grants that have had a extremely long history in this district, a lot of time, and various things have been raised about how that could be better, be changed. It probably has focused more in the last year over to have a similar process to the ARPA grant project projects, which I felt were handled well. And not only was it handling the federal dollars and the applications, it was also handling the monitoring and follow-up. And we have a board-directed initiative to facilitate a board discussion and provide proposed criteria and a improved process for community grants. And we have a board discussion morning on the third Thursday of July, whatever that date is, and we are going, first that is on that agenda to get that started. Typically, we've gotten to this point, expressed frustrations, then kicked the can down till May. And then in May, we'd start, well, I'm going to think about this again, and then we haven't been able to address that. So I think that's very important. And I also think that in the same process, which gets at fund balance and pay-go projects, it's that facility and a board discussion of providing proposed criteria and process for pay-go projects and some cleanup that we had some discussion about. And I do want to mention that Commissioner Bessie's comments about I think there really was some examples of some pretty good public discourse and thinking out loud and really getting down to some fundamental philosophical roots, because we all have different thoughts on that, and we are in some different places. And I think we need to think as a body, what is our way of sort of thinking about some of those things so we can put aside some of the personal side. So in any case, it's been a difficult several days, and I can attest to being a little on the sleepless side myself, also as Vice Chair Wizenhut mentioned. So it has been a lot of soul searching. But anyway, we'll move forward, and we have a lot of transitions coming up, including a reception for Commissioner Plyler next week. As he finishes up two more a briefing session and a meeting, as he kind of moves on to the next broadcasting gig in the future. And Dave's been great, and we will have an opportunity to say a few things next week and at the end, and we'll at the end of the year. And said the same thing about Dudley. And Damon's not too far behind, coming up in another month or two. So it's been there's a lot of transitions. And I'd always be remiss if I wasn't looking at what to thank our clerk, Ashley Matthews, who kind of keeps everything from getting the meeting room straight to lots of last-minute adjustments and lots of schedules for small group meetings and lots of things. And she is absolutely a rock and an even keel and never gets emotionally hijacked over anything. And that is, and never
in front of y'all.
Waiting for that, Dudley. I was waiting for it. Now, you remember, wait till Monday.
Right. I'm just commenting on what I see, and that's and from this group's point, I believe I speak for everybody. Can't be consistent about a lot of things, but we may not agree, but I think we would all agree on that. So with no further ado, I think we are ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there anything else? Got a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, well, adjourned, I think, the special called meeting.
And then it's time, we do have a briefing, I'm aware of that.
But it's going to be really short, so
I assume we need to close this meeting?
Close this meeting, and then I don't think we need a recess unless you want to.
All right, no, I think we're good, this will be short. I'm taking your word on short. We have a motion by Commissioner Plyler and a second by Commissioner Woodbury. All in favor, please raise your hand. This meeting, regular meeting, is adjourned, and now we'll get ready to start.
And so all we have, I'm just going to quickly review the items for June 27th, and then we do have a closed session motion, so we do need, that's why I wanted to say it. Hang tough. All right, so So, so the items for, items for June 27th, you've got a special resolution about a street closing that's very straightforward. We have a number of budget and finance items there, mostly year-end close items and those kinds of things. And so we've got that. We've got two ARPA items. One is an extension of the time, which we talked a little bit about in this meeting. And then the other one is transferring the interlocal agreement on that futsal court that we had. Actually, the schools are going to take over that project, so that's that matter. We have just a few contract matters, which all are fairly straightforward, and then a property matter, which is has to do with Board of Education lease for county-owned property on Liberty Street. It's sort of that thing. We've got some appointments, Madam Clerk. These will close.
They close on Monday at 5 p.m.
So take a look at those. There are a number of them that it'd be great to get position filled, and a couple of really important, kind of high-profile positions. So please do take a look at that. And then you've got some tax administration matters. And other than that, Mr. Chairman, I got a closed session motion.
Would you like to read the motion for closed session? What you need to say?
I do. I didn't know if there's anything else we need.
Oh, I think we're good.
Good, okay. All right, need to ask the board to consider a motion to go into closed session, to discuss a matter, to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer, an employee, or prospective public officer, employee pursuant to provisions of North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A6. Since there's no other business to come before the board, this meeting following the closed session, the meeting will be.
What did you just say?
Let's go to closed session.
I'll make a motion that we do that. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Plyler. We are now adjourned to closed session.